Hello everyone, and thanks for watching this session. I'm Paul Nash, Head of Product for Azure Compute Infrastructure Platform here at Microsoft. The Azure IaaS portfolio continues to expand to help you increase the cost efficiency, security, scalability, and resilience of your workloads. During the next 30 minutes, I'll present the latest innovations in Azure Compute that we're announcing this year at Microsoft Ignite. You'll hear about the latest Azure VMs and their price performance improvements, how to quickly find the right VM for your workloads, how we've introduced several important new virtual machine scale set capabilities, and how you can access guaranteed capacity in advance of workload deployments. I'll also present the latest capabilities we have added to increase the overall security posture of your environment and how you can accelerate your SAP deployments in Azure. Lastly, I'll leave you with an important announcement regarding an upcoming event that you'll not want to miss. Stepping back, before we get to all of that, let me share with you what's top of mind for me, based on the conversations we have with customers. First off, the trend is clear. Cloud adoption continues to grow as digital transformation initiatives accelerate. And at this point, no workload is out of scope, including legacy applications. Many organizations are taking a cloud-first approach, while factoring in an increasing range of hybrid, multi-cloud, and edge solutions. As the range of workloads that customers bring to cloud expands, we're broadening the Azure portfolio to support and stay ahead of that adoption curve and meet customers' requirements. While we'll continue to deliver an ever-expanding number of choices to meet your needs, we also want to help you reduce the complexity that you face as you navigate that progressively broader portfolio. So what's new? Microsoft continues to collaborate with technology vendors like Intel and AMD to embed their latest innovation in the fabric of Azure IaaS. As a result, Azure can deliver, among other benefits, the continuous infrastructure efficiency improvements that customers expect from the cloud. We're making available new Azure virtual machines that deliver better price performance for most general purpose and memory-intensive workloads compared to our prior VM generations. Our expansion of the Azure Virtual Machines portfolio now includes new DAV5 and EAV5 Azure VMs, which are based on the third generation of AMD EPYC or Milan processors. These new VMs now also provide options without local disk storage for a lower price of entry and better cost efficiency for stateless workloads. Standard SSDs, standard HDDs, premium SSDs, and ultra-disk remote storage options are all supported based on regional availability. We are also very pleased to announce the general availability of DV5 and EV5 Azure VMs, which deliver up to 15% increased performance and better overall price performance than the previous DV4 and EV4 series VMs. These new VMs can scale up to 96 virtual CPUs and feature the latest third-generation Intel Xeon Platinum or Ice Lake processors. Both the DV5 and DAV5 Azure VMs work well for many general-purpose computing workloads, including e-commerce systems, web front-ends, desktop virtualization solutions, lightweight and mid-range databases, application servers, and many more uses. With increased RAM, EV5 and EAV5 Azure VMs are ideal for things like memory-intensive applications, including simulations, large databases, and memory analytics workloads, and other business-critical applications. Additionally, I'm also excited to announce the upcoming preview of our EBS v5 Azure VMs. These are a new memory-optimized VM series that delivers up to a 300% increase in remote storage performance. We'll be making these VM sizes available with and without local storage so you can choose what's best for your application. These new VMs will offer up to 120,000 IOPS and 4,000 megabytes per second of remote disk throughput. That increased storage throughput is ideal for the most demanding data-intensive workloads, including large relational databases such as SQL Server, high-performance OLTP scenarios, and high-end data analytics applications. With these capabilities, customers will be able to consolidate their existing workloads into fewer VMs or shift to smaller-sized VMs than what they use today to achieve potential cost savings. To summarize, you can see here the tangible results of our continuous improvement to the performance of the Azure Compute platform. We're now delivering a much broader range of VM-to-disk storage performance levels compared to the previous VM generations. We've more than doubled the VM-to-disk storage throughput with the new DV5 and EV5 VMs, And with the EBS v5 VMs, we'll increase storage throughput even further, up to a 300% increase. You can also see the increase in IOPS on the right. Together, these improvements allow customers to run their most demanding applications and mission-critical applications that require extremely high levels of performance. We intend to continue improving capabilities in this area to bring you even more performance and value over time. Now I want to bring you another example that illustrates our commitment to delivering breakthrough performance on Azure. You can see how just in 2021, we've delivered 3 record-breaking announcements that we believe signal our leadership in the HPC and AI space. And this goes well beyond performance. Customers around the world rely on Azure to drive innovation in challenging spaces such as the environment, public health, energy sustainability, weather modeling, economic growth, and more. Finding solutions to these important challenges requires huge amounts of focused computing power. Customers are increasingly finding that the best way to access such high-performance computing is through the agility, scale, security, and leading-edge performance of Azure's purpose-built HPC and AI cloud services. Azure's market-leading vision for HPC and AI is based on a core of genuine and recognized HPC expertise using proven technology and design principles and enhanced with the best features of the cloud. The result is a capability that delivers performance, scale, and value unlike any other cloud. In 2020, we announced general availability of 2 of our HPC and AI flagship Azure Virtual Machine series. The Azure HB-v3 Virtual Machine series is based on AMD EPYC 7003 series processors that provide leadership price, performance, and scalability for workloads like fluid dynamics, weather forecasting, geoscience simulations, rendering, and physics-based machine learning. Customers can run MPI workloads across more than 80,000 HBv3 CPU cores, which is over 12 times larger than has been demonstrated elsewhere in the public cloud. The Azure ND A100 v4 Virtual Machine series is based on NVIDIA A100 Tensor Core GPUs. These VMs are designed to let you scale up to thousands of GPUs in a single cluster with an unprecedented 1.6 terabits per second of interconnect bandwidth per VM. As an example, ND A100 v4 benchmarks were listed in 4 of the top 30 positions on the top 500 supercomputer rankings in June of 2021, and the benchmarks were based on just a fraction of our overall cluster. Simply put, the ND A100 v4 is designed to let our most demanding customers scale up and scale out without slowing down. Another range of innovative solutions that we've brought to market is our confidential computing portfolio. Security is top of mind for most of you, and especially for customers who operate in regulated industries. Datasets are growing exponentially, and with that, there's growing scrutiny on how data is exposed, both from consumer data and regulation compliance perspectives. This trend is making confidential computing an increasingly essential tool to help organizations meet their privacy and security needs by encrypting data in use. With Azure Confidential Computing, we are enabling the industry to move from computing in the clear to computing confidentially in the cloud and the edge, offering holistic, tailored solutions to meet organizations' needs. We start with a solid foundation based on a hardware root of trust to ensure data is protected right from the silicon, remote attestation for customers to directly verify the integrity of their computing environment, memory encryption to ensure data is protected while being processed, and trusted launch to ensure your VMs boot with legitimate code. We believe these 4 capabilities are essential and that anything less is not truly confidential computing. We also recognize that each organization is unique. Azure Confidential Computing offers more options spanning hardware and software than any other cloud vendor, with multiple offerings tailored to your needs to keep data private and secure as you move it to the cloud. For example, you can optimize for ease of use by moving your existing workloads to Azure and making them confidential without changing any code using Azure Confidential VMs. Or you can optimize for confidentiality at the application level by customizing your app to run in a secure enclave, or by lifting and shifting existing applications using an ISV partner. Or you can meet us in the middle using Azure Confidential Containers. We're also continuing to onboard Azure Confidential Services to leverage within your solutions, and we're now supporting Azure Confidential Ledger in preview, SQL Always Encrypted, Azure Key Vault Managed Hardware Security Modules, and Microsoft Azure Attestation, all running on Azure Confidential Compute. We also have new VMs for confidential computing to announce. You can now leverage Azure Confidential VMs with enclaves built on Intel SGX technology to optimize for confidentiality at the application level, and this is available now in preview. This new DCS v3 series offers 6 times the number of cores and 1,500 times as much encrypted memory for large data workloads compared to our prior DCS v2 generation products. There is also a growing ecosystem of solutions to lift and shift existing applications into secure enclaves and get full control over your confidential security posture. Coming soon in November will be the preview of Azure Confidential Virtual Machines built on 3rd generation AMD EPYC processors and featuring SEV SNP memory encryption. These VMs will enable customers to seamlessly lift and shift existing workloads to be confidential without changing any code. We are also offering worker nodes in Azure Kubernetes Service, which are now available in preview on Intel SGX to secure your confidential containers. These are also coming to AMD EPYC virtual machines before the end of the year, again allowing you to encrypt the memory of your containers with AMD's SEV SNP technology. Finally, in addition to Windows Server, we're partnering with Canonical to offer Ubuntu OS support for all our confidential offerings, now and in the future. In addition to all of that, earlier this year, we introduced Trusted Launch in public preview. Trusted Launch verifies the firmware and drivers to ensure that only trusted code is running on your virtual machine. In fact, all of our Windows 365 Cloud PC machines running in Azure have Trusted Launch enabled, both for Windows 10 and Windows 11. Customers have tested Trusted Launch for a variety of workloads and love the improved security posture of their virtual machines. Today, we're excited to announce the general availability of Trusted Launch. Trusted Launch can now be enabled for all Azure Gen 2 virtual machines with Secure Boot and VTPMs to protect against rootkits and bootkits. All these Trusted Launch features are enabled with a simple change in deployment code or a checkbox in the Azure portal. As you can see, the range of options available to you in Azure to run your workloads keeps growing. However, we recognize that a broadening portfolio can be more difficult to navigate. Therefore, we're introducing new capabilities and tools to help you simplify and accelerate your decision-making process and ultimately your journey to Azure. The latest example of this is the newly introduced Virtual Machines Selector. So why don't we see this tool in action? To do that, I'm going to yield the virtual floor to Esther for a demo of the tool. Esther?
Hi, everyone. I'm Esther Indero, a program manager, part of the Azure core team. And I'm excited to demonstrate how you can use the Virtual Machine Selector, a tool we recently made available to simplify your VM selection process. As we continue to expand the portfolio of Azure Virtual Machines, we also want to decrease the time it takes for you to identify the right VMs based on your needs and budget. The Virtual Machine Selector is a web-based tool localized in 26 languages and broadly available on azure.com. Using this tool, you can specify your requirements, such as the category of workload you plan to run in Azure, or the technical specification of your VM, OS disk storage options, data disk storage performance, operating system, deployment region, and so on. The tool ultimately will identify the best VM and disk storage based on the requirements you entered. You will then be able to view the prices and add the selected VMs to the pricing calculator. This sounds like a pretty exciting tool, so let's get started. As you can see, you're provided with 3 options to begin using the tool. You can start by either selecting the workload type, or the OS and software, or the deployment region. For example, let's go ahead and choose the workload type. You can see the different workload categories that the Azure VM portfolio supports, and you can choose the category that best fits your workload profile. If you're not familiar with the workload categories, you can expand and read a brief description to better guide your choices. For the purpose of this demo, I'll be selecting the memory-intensive workload category. After that, you're presented with the option of specifying the basic attributes of your VMs. First on the list is the number of vCPUs, followed by the amount of RAM your application may need. Let's assume that I am interested in a VM that has at least 60 vCPUs, but not more than 80 vCPUs. You can enter the information in the tool and populate the corresponding fields. I will enter 500 as my minimum RAM requirement. After that, you can also enter additional advanced features that you may need, like the processor brand, GPU enablement, the size of your local temporary disk storage, the number of data disks you want to attach to the VM, and additional security and pricing options. We will be demonstrating how the tool issues recommendations that include both Intel and AMD-based Azure VMs. At first, let's start by choosing No Preference as the processor brand. Select Yes as the answer to the continuous performance of the CPU question. And select No as the answer to the GPU-enabled question. I do not need a temporary storage for this VM, therefore I will leave the field as 0. I would like to attach a minimum of 2 data disks to my VM, and will choose No as the answer to the security question. I would like to see all the pricing options that Azure can offer. That is why I'm choosing the No Preference option as my answer to the pricing question. Next, you can see how the tool is showcasing the various disk options that Azure can provide for you to store your operating systems. The page also shows the operating system disk size and specifications to best guide your choices. If you're not sure of the best option, you can leave the pre-selected options and click Next. On the next page, you can specify your data disk preferences and the number of disks you're interested in provisioning. Let's select, for example, premium SSDs and add 2 data disks to my configuration. After the data disk selection, you get to choose the operating system and software you want to run on your VM. You can choose from a wide range of Microsoft software options that best fit your needs. I will choose Linux as my operating system and Ubuntu as the Linux distribution. Next is the selection of the Azure region to host your VM, and I'm selecting East US for this demo. As we go through the steps, you can see on the right side of my screen how the tool signals if we have any VMs that match the requirements you may have previously entered, in addition to a summary of the options you selected. Once you complete the region selection process, the tool shows the recommended VMs. Based on the information I have entered, I have the E64 ASV4 and E64 SV4 as the recommended VM, and there's also a list of similar and additional VM options that I can consider. The View Details button provides a more extensive description of the recommended VM and the prices. As you can see on my screen, the 1-year reserved pricing, 3-year reserved pricing, and spot pricing. However, you can add the VM to the calculator and click on View VM on Calculator to see the comprehensive pricing of the selected VM. As you can see, We selected the E64 ASV4, and you can also see its respective pricing. Back to the VM selector tool, you can see the other VM options that you can also check out. You will now also see in the tool the newest Intel and AMD V5 sizes. I hope you enjoyed the demo. We're looking forward to having your feedback as we interface with the tool. An easy way to capture this is by using the helpers to make this tool better bar on the VM selector. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther, and well done. And many customers also need to manage large scale-out environments with uncompromised resiliency. To meet their needs, we're announcing the general availability of Azure Virtual Machine Scale Sets Flexible Orchestration Mode. This mode offers a new set of capabilities that customers can rely on to simplify the deployment, management, and scalability of their applications in Azure. These new capabilities provide full control of the individual VMs within a scale set while increasing application resiliency at large scale, for example, when running thousands of VMs. The number of new capabilities we're introducing with this new mode is substantial. You can see some of them scrolling on your screen, but we didn't have room for them all. Among other things, customers will now be able to deploy thousands of VMs across fault domains, balance VMs across fault domains and availability zones automatically, mix different VM families in the same scale set, automatically repair or replace unhealthy instances, and many more. These new capabilities provide a simplified customer experience and combine the functionality of our previously separate availability set and virtual machine scale set products. As a result, customers will now be able to easily manage their business-critical applications more effectively while ensuring high availability at massive scale. Another thing we've introduced is the ability to rapidly scale out and scale in on-demand and spot VMs based on metrics or a predefined schedule. Spot VMs and regular on-demand VMs can also now be part of the same scale set, resulting in significant cost savings. This brings me to discuss the latest Azure Spot Virtual Machines features that we are now making generally available. In addition to being able to see eviction rates and price history in the Azure portal, you can now improve the overall runtime of your workloads running on Spot VMs if they happen to get evicted due to capacity constraints. This new capability applies when a Spot VM is part of a virtual machine scale set. The platform now automatically tries to redeploy an evicted VM to maintain the predetermined number of VMs that you've defined. You can also now use new REST APIs to simulate evictions and test the behavior of your workload to make sure that it properly handles interruptions when deployed on Spot VMs. But we all know that not all applications can tolerate interruptions. Certain mission-critical environments need to be highly available no matter what. In fact, another important feature that we've recently introduced in public preview is on-demand capacity reservations for Azure Virtual Machines. With this, we're giving you the ability to reserve space for Azure VMs in advance of actual deployments and with SLA guarantees. For example, this feature is particularly important for organizations that want to ensure high levels of availability when running mission-critical applications on Azure. Until now, the only way to obtain an SLA for Azure VM's capacity has been to actually deploy VMs, whether running or stopped. With this new feature, you can now deploy and manage the compute capacity required to run VMs separately from the VMs themselves. This also ensures that you still control the capacity even if you temporarily stop the VMs. A capacity reservation is on demand. There is no term commitment required. The reservations can be deleted whenever they're no longer needed. The lack of a term commitment also means that reservation can be made using pay-as-you-go terms based on the underlying price of the VM size, location, and the quantity of the reservation you're requesting. Within the Azure billing system, any available term discounts, such as from purchased reserved VM instances or RIs, will be applied automatically. Mission-critical applications, disaster recovery, and business continuity scenarios will all benefit from this new capability. Additionally, customers planning for predictable events, such as holiday-related capacity increases, are also finding capacity reservations to be an effective tool. It allows them to obtain and lock in their capacity needs even as they scale up or down or execute software updates and deployments. Speaking of mission-critical applications, one thing that comes to mind are solutions like SAP HANA. Azure runs some of the largest SAP production landscapes in the world. Together with our partners, we offer several solutions to seamlessly migrate, run, and innovate with your SAP environment on Azure. I want to highlight a few of these solutions now through the lens of a typical staged deployment process. In the prepare phase, our new construction set for SAP offers design recommendations and architecture guidance to help you quickly deploy SAP workloads at scale. In the migration phase, customers can leverage Microsoft's open source deployment automation framework to deploy infrastructure for SAP landscapes. You can also use that automation to configure the OS and install SAP software in a repeatable fashion. Finally, you can use SAP's DMO tool, optimized to work with Azure, to convert and migrate ECC to S/4HANA on Azure. In the run phase, Azure Monitor for SAP is a purpose-built solution for SAP workloads, providing simplified monitoring and troubleshooting. Azure Sentinel and Azure Security Center offer the largest real-time threat protection, combining billions of security events across Microsoft and SAP. Finally, when it comes to integration, customers can benefit from solutions that Microsoft built to run our own SAP environments on Azure. Examples include guidance on integrating Azure Active Directory with SuccessFactors and an SAP ERP connector that connects your flows and apps to either ECC or S/4HANA. We continue to invest in solutions that enable SAP customers to drive innovation and enhance productivity. For instance, as a part of our SAP partnership, we are investing in integrating Microsoft Teams across SAP solutions. Some of the newest capabilities include SAP Sales Cloud Access and Meet via Teams to remove barriers for sales teams and focus on customer engagements. Using the Qualtrics Experience Management app to enable people across the organization to take surveys directly within Teams. And enabling users to access dashboards, opportunities, accounts, and other by-design objects from Teams. We'll soon be rolling out additional integrations between Teams and SAP solutions and several BTP and S/4HANA integrations. Stay tuned for more on this. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this overview of what's coming to an Azure data center near you in the near future. If you want to learn more, there are additional on-demand sessions that you may find of interest. To experience the latest virtual machine scale sets features in action, or to witness how you can provision hundreds of VMs at scale with Citrix PVS, look for these additional Ignite sessions. You can also see some additional resources that include websites, documentations, and videos. And if that's not enough, we have more. Before we wrap up this Ignite session, many of you have already expressed the interest to access deeper dive content. If you need more information to plan your infrastructure projects with Azure, then you won't want to miss our upcoming Azure IaaS Day. This is a new virtual event that will take place on November 17th that will give us the opportunity to go further into the details regarding many of the offers we've recently announced. At this event, we'll discuss and showcase Azure compute, networking, and storage capabilities in much more detail, and of course, answer your questions. Until then, I hope to see you there, and thanks for joining us at Ignite.